everyone, welcome back to the Science Hub. I'm Drishti Patel, and in this video we will be discussing about a brand new topic, that is wildlife forensics. To start off with, let's understand what the term wildlife refers to. Wildlife means all the flora and fauna which are not domesticated by humans. It includes animals, plants and microorganisms. Flora is all the plant life occurring on a particular region or time, and on the other hand, fauna refers to all the animal life living in a region. Moving on, let's see the scenario of wildlife in our country. Due to her faunal and floral diversity, India is recognized amongst the 17 mega biodiversity countries in the world. However, our flora and fauna are threatened to a large extent by human activities like hunting, habitat loss, fragmentation, and degradation. These activities result in their population getting declined and range contractions of several species across Asia. There are 172 IUCN designated threatened species that live in India. Amongst these are the Asiatic lions, the Indian white-rumped vultures, and the Bengal tigers. Now let's see the importance of wildlife. Wildlife affects human lives from many areas, which escalates its importance to human beings. The importance is due to these four reasons. First, the aesthetic or recreational significance of wildlife. This points how the wildlife exaggerates the beauty of nature which pleases human eyes, making the world a more beautiful place to live in. Second is the economic value of the wildlife. The financial value of wild species is important to the economies of several nations, as it provides many valuable substances like wood and other plant products. Though it's barbaric, the fauna is exploited for meat and food products, skin and fur, uplifting the economic value of wildlife, making it important. Third is the scientific value of wildlife. Scientists have gained valuable knowledge about various life processes and discovered important medical products from wildlife. Last and the most importantly, the ecological value of wildlife. Wildlife helps in maintaining the ecological balance among living systems of Earth, which consequently ensures the survival of life on this planet. After knowing about wildlife and its importance, now it will be easier to understand wildlife forensics. Wildlife forensics can be broadly defined as the application of several integrated aspects of natural and cultural science in the court of law, focused on regulation of wildlife protection and conservation. The goals of wildlife forensics are to use scientific procedures to examine, identify and compare evidences from crime scene and to link these evidences with a suspect and a victim, which specifically is an animal. Three of the most common crimes faced by wildlife forensics are the unlicensed trade in live animals, the unlicensed trade in their body parts, and the intentional killing of animals for sport or because they are perceived as a threat. Killing of wild animals that are protected from hunting by laws is also called poaching, which is one of the most serious crimes investigated by the wildlife forensic scientists. Other crimes against wildlife include buying and selling of protected animals and buying and selling of products made from these protected animals. Now let us look at the scenario of wildlife forensics internationally. The international organization that monitors trade in wild animals and plants is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, abbreviated as CITES. In the United States, the Endangered Species Act protects endangered and threatened species. Trent University in Ontario, Canada, houses one of the largest wildlife DNA forensics department in North America, incorporating an extremely active research facility. One of the most critical problems faced by wildlife forensic scientists internationally is identifying a particular species from a crime scene evidence. For example, wildlife forensic science may have to distinguish if a piece of leather on a watch band is made from a protected animal like an elephant or a zebra, or if it comes from an unprotected animal like a cow or a horse. They must be able to determine if a medicinal powder contains the pulverized remains of a protected animal like a rhinoceros or a tiger, or an unprotected species like coral. Now let us look at the barbaric offenses which are committed against wildlife. One of the major crimes that threatens the existence of some of the most important species of wildlife is wildlife trafficking. This green crime has been branched into collection, possession, processing and importing of a large number of these important species for monetary gains. Another wildlife crime is killing of animals for their various body parts like bones, horns, nails, skin, fur or body fluids like bile. Collecting and trading these body parts is also a major wildlife offense. Hunting protected and threatened species is another serious crime with huge penalties. This black market of wildlife is valued as the third largest illegal trade in the world and one of the most profitable crimes of today. The illegal wildlife trade is estimated to be valued somewhere between $10 to $20 billion. The Wildlife Protection Act 1972 was enacted to give a proper shape, support and protection to the wildlife conservation in our country. It has 6 schedules listing various degrees of protection, with more protection being provided under Schedule 1 and Part 2 of Schedule 2, with the highest penalties prescribed for the offences. We discussed how hunting is a major crime against animals, but it is not merely committed by killing animals with just guns or crossbows. There are various hunting techniques that are used by these stone-hearted, selfish criminals to hunt innocent animals. Let us have a look at these techniques. Hunting on foot. It is usually done at night using locally crafted muzzle-loading guns. It is one of the most popular means because it is very efficient. Snares using telephone wires and automobile clutch cables are set on the forest path which are regularly visited by animals and are also set near waterholes, fruiting trees and croplands bordering forests. Poisoned water is placed in broken earthen pots and is left for the animals to drink it. It is another popular method for killing large carnivores that threaten livestock. High voltage electrical wires connected to fences are used to eliminate elephants and pigs. Also, jaw traps are used for hunting large carnivores like tigers. Dynamites are used in ponds and lakes to hunt fish. Now let us have a look at the various body parts for which the animals are being hunted. Musk pot, which is obtained from deers, is used for perfumery. Ivory, which is obtained from animals like elephants and from the bones and claws of leopard and tiger, is used for jewelry and furniture. Hides of leopard and tiger and snake are used for fashion products. Chartreuse hair, which are obtained from the Tibetan antelope, is used for making shawls. Antlers and horns are used for making furniture and jewelry. Bear bile is used for medicinal purposes. Mongoose hair is used in the bristles of paintbrushes. Now let us look at the species that are endangered due to poaching. First is the one-horned rhino. Adult rhinos in India and Africa are hunted for their horns. The price of each horn is $450,000. Second is tiger. Historically, tigers in India have been hunted for prestige as well as taking trophies. And presently, they are hunted for their skin, claws, and teeth. Next is the black bear. Black bear is hunted for its bile juice for medicinal purposes. Next are the elephants. Elephants are killed for their tusks for ivory. Poachers kill elephants using methods such as stoning them to death, using poisoned darts which result in slow and excruciating painful death for the animal, and by shooting them with machine guns. Poachers slaughter entire herds of elephants when they gather to drink at the water holes. The next is Tibetan antelope, also known as chiru. About 20,000 chirus are killed every year to make shahtoos shawls. That is 3 to 4 antelopes to make one shawl, fetching lakhs of rupees in the international market. Chirus are found in the regions of Tibet, China, Kashmir and Ladakh at an altitude of 3,700 to 5,000 meters. The ban on shahtoos trading has hit an industry of $160 million, affecting the livelihood of 30,000 workers. The next is the olive ridley turtle. The beach of Odisha's Bhitarkanika Marine Sanctuary is the largest mass nesting site of olive ridley in the world. India could not enforce protection laws due to lack of funds. Ridley turtles are killed for their meat and leather. Now let's look at the DNA banks for endangered animals. DNA banks for endangered animals consist of sample of sperm, ova, embryos, tissue samples and serum. The goal of this type of collection is to preserve information stored in the genetic material of animals that may not exist in the future. This material contains information about the biochemistry, physiology, and even the environment in which the animals existed. The materials in DNA banks for endangered animals are usually collected during the surgical procedures or soon after an animal dies. They are collected by professionals. The largest DNA bank for endangered animals is housed at the San Diego Zoo, and it's also called the Frozen Zoo. In 2004, 3 British institutions, the University of Nottingham, the Institute of Zoology, and London's Natural History Museum, announced the formation of the Frozen Ark project, the purpose of which is to develop a genetic repository for all the endangered species on the World Conservation Union's Red List, a list that totals more than 7,200 species. DNA banks are also used for forensic work with endangered animals. Between 1999 and 2001, researchers at the University of Trent, Ontario, Canada, developed DNA banks for endangered animals that are listed on CITES list. They have developed a DNA bank for garfalcons and peregrine falcons so that the wild birds can be distinguished from the birds that have been bred in captivity. A DNA bank that includes the genetic information of Amazon parrots helps to identify birds that are illegally traded. DNA banks of tigers have also been developed to identify materials found in Asian medicines. Finally, the DNA banks of North American endangered duck and goose species are used for identification and for population management. Most of the DNA banks for endangered animals are focused on conservation. A major use of genetic material stored in these banks is to increase the genetic diversity of species at risk of becoming extinct. As population of endangered animals shrink, the gene pool of animals become more limited. This leads to inbreeding, which increases the population's risk of diseases, birth defects, and the inability to survive natural disasters. Material from DNA banks can be used to infuse small population with new genetic material, increasing their chances of survival. Another goal of DNA bank is to increase the population size of an endangered species by producing new individuals. Let's move on to the identification of skin and fur. Every year, the global leather industry slaughters more than 1 billion animals and tans their skins and hides. Most leather produced and sold is made from the skins of cattle and calves. It is also made from horses, sheep, lambs, goats, and pigs who are also slaughtered for meat. Other species that are hunted and killed specifically for their skins are zebras, bisons, water buffaloes, boars, kangaroos, elephants, eels, sharks, dolphins, seals, walruses, frogs, turtles, crocodiles, lizards, and snakes. Kangaroos are slaughtered in millions every year. Their skin is considered to be a prime material for soccer shoes. Snakes and lizards may be skinned alive because of the belief that the live flaying imparts suppleness to the finished leather. Kid goats may be boiled alive to make kid gloves, and the skins of unborn calves and lambs, sometimes purposely aborted, other than slaughtered pregnant cows and ewes, are considered especially luxurious. These are some images of animal skin and the products made from them. Identification of skin and fur. When we speak of fur, 4 key words are used to describe how the fur piece is constructed: undercoat, guard hairs, pile, and pelt. Undercoat. This is where you find the thicker, denser hair near the skin of the animal. Guard hairs. These are the shinier, more delicate hairs which lay over the undercoat. They are more aesthetically pleasing, while the undercoat is practically the warmth layer. Pile. The pile is used to describe the direction of the hair growth. That is, the pile grows inwards from the tail or outwards from the top of the belly to the bottom of the torso. Pelt. The literal skin of the animal, and the phrase used to describe the number of animals needed to create one fur garment. The fur coat required 10 pelts of a fox. This is an example of how the word pelt is used. Skins are found in items of all shapes, sizes, and colors, and come from many different animals, including mammals, birds, and fish. Identifying the animal origin of a skin can be easy or difficult depending on how it was processed and used. Frequently, the pelt has been minimally processed and the fur or leathers have been left on, making the identification easier. More commonly, however, the hair have been removed by chemical and physical processing. Most skins are smooth, at least on one side, which is called the hair or grain side. The other rough, felted surface is called the flesh side. To identify these processed skins, you have to look closely to the grain pattern, which is formed by hair follicles where the hair grew. The last topic of wildlife forensics is identification of bone and teeth. Bones are distinct in each class of vertebrates and is the first clue to which animal the skull belongs to. Another way of identifying skull is through the teeth. Herbivores, the animals that only eat plants, have flat teeth that are the molars, which are made for grinding food before swallowing. Canines hold prey, while carnassials are used for tearing and ripping flesh. Omnivores have both canines and molars, of which humans are a prime example. Antlers and horns help to identify the type of bovine they belong to, and the gender as well, because for the most part, female bovids do not grow antlers. That was all about wildlife forensics. Thank you for watching our video. If you liked our video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more such educational videos.